The idea of a uniquely Korean writing script was born in 1443 when King Sejong of the Choson dynasty spearheaded its creation. However, despite the cultural significance of the script, it ultimately came to be looked down upon as overly simplistic and vulgar, and so the country reverted to the status quo of using Chinese characters to write the Korean language. Such was the status of Hangul, as the script became known, until the late 19th century when it quickly became the center of Korean nationalist rhetoric during Japanese colonization. So how did Hangul go from forgotten to the front lines of the Korean nationalist movement? Scholar Benedict Anderson argues that modern nations are born from imagined communities, which come to exist amongst groups of people that might never meet one another personally, yet share a history and culture and buy into a single, unifying national narrative. Anderson argues that imagined communities become real ones when they come to share a national language, because doing so allows them to develop a shared national identity. This theory operates well within the context of the Korean case study, when the mechanism is tweaked from spoken language to written script. According to Anderson's theory, one way in which an imagined community becomes a real one is via print capitalism, his term for the combination of printing technology, which enables wide-scale distribution of written materials, and capitalistic economic incentives for printers to maximize the reach and sales of their printed products. The goal of the early cultural nationalists was to restore Hangul as a point of national pride and to promote its usage as the country's dominant system of writing. One prominent way in which cultural nationalists pushed this agenda was via newspaper articles, such as those published in the newspaper Japanese-Sinmun, a Korean newspaper which printed primarily in Hangul. One example of the kind of rhetoric cultural nationalists used in these essays to link Hangul to Korean independence is captured in this quote. "It is language that fashions a nation. A nation's language and writing are the special light whereby a nation and its people, that have come together as a society, take their natural place as a freestanding, independent nation on this earth." Japanese-Sinmun developed a national readership. The effect of this was an expansion of the Korean imagined community, just as Anderson's theory predicts. Cultural nationalists produced a new national narrative for Korea, one in which Korea no longer had to live in the imperialistic shadow of China or Japan. Newspaper was not the only print medium through which cultural nationalists furthered the Hangul movement. During the Japanese occupation, Korean authors also began producing books written completely in Hangul, starring nationalist figures from Korea's history or fictional characters that supported independence. It was easy for the average Korean to see themselves in the nationalistic characters they read about, and so these novels prompted pride in Korean identity and independence for the nation. The full acceptance and adoption of Hangul was a gradual process, one that continued on even after the Japanese colonization of Korea ended. Korea's cultural nationalists may not be the first people Koreans envision when they think of national heroes from the period of colonization, and yet these nationalists were some of the fiercest defenders of Korean culture and independence. They risked life, limb, and liberty in order to bring Korea a written revolution.